Okay, here we go. Now we'll really get started. As I said, my name is Laura Rice. I'm the Director of Training here at Ascribe, and today we're going to be doing a webinar focused on dual code books in Ascribe Coder. But I always begin with an overview of what Ascribe Coder is to make sure we're all on the same page. Ascribe Coder was released on September 20th of 2013, so it's been out there for a little bit now. It is available on our live server, so you can access Ascribe Coder by clicking on your questions, clicking on a question, and choosing Ascribe Coder. And it is in use today. People are using it today for live production work. It is a fully functional coding tool. Ascribe Coder was created to merge the functionality of 4 of our pages. The basic premise of Ascribe Coder is review responses, and our development team took review responses, the single response coder interface, and edit the codebook, and combined them into one tool. Okay? And if you've been in any of the other webinars, then you've seen how it resembles review responses when it's in multi-mode, and how it resembles a single response coder interface when it's in single mode. And all the edit the codebook tools are available when you're in codebook editing mode. All right. The codebook editor preview was actually removed from Ascribe with the release of Ascribe Coder on September 20th. All the functionality of the codebook editor preview was duplicated in Ascribe Coder, so it was removed then. Ascribe Coder was developed with your feedback, with our Ascribe community feedback. We went through the Ascribe, the support wish list, the wish list that users, for the wishes that users had submitted for Ascribe. And we looked at the things that people wanted for review responses and that you wanted for the single response coder interface. And we took that feedback and worked with the users group to create a tool that would generally fit everybody's needs, but also answer a number of requests that had come up over the years. So the users group had a big hand in what you see today in Ascribe Coder. And if you'd like to join our users group, we meet the second Wednesday of every month. You can email support@languagelogic.net or myself, Antoine or Julie, any of us, and we'll get you on that users group distribution list so that you can start attending and give your input. Also, you can send any input through support, and that's all tracked as well. Ascribe Coder was also created to be supported in multiple browsers. So one of the things that our team is doing is making all of the Ascribe tools accessible through Chrome, Firefox, and Safari on a Mac, so that we're not only able to use Internet Explorer, that we can use any of these tools. And today, you can access Ascribe Coder through any of these tools. Actually, you can use most of Ascribe through any of these tools. The tools that you can't use are review responses, single response coder interface, phrase analyzer, and edit the codebook. Those tools are still only available through Internet Explorer. Okay. A little more about Ascribe Coder, just so you can see that we've constantly been upgrading it since the release in September. I'm not going to go over the version 7.5 updates, but again, this PowerPoint is available for you to download, so you can go through and see that. But what I want to tell you is that it is constantly being tweaked at our users' requests when something makes sense. And the future of Ascribe Coder, version 7.6 is going to see the introduction of a server-side spell check, and that is currently scheduled for the end of March. So we will have a spell check that is not just Chrome's spell check or not just IE's spell check. It will be our own spell check available in March, and that will be available for Ascribe Coder, translations, transcriptions, and edit responses and edit respondents. So that's the next exciting thing that's happening with Ascribe Coder.
Welcome to Go To Training, online training made easy. There are 51 other callers on the call.
Face and edit the code book. And that is currently tentatively scheduled for the end of June, or June of 2014. So that's one of the reasons for doing these webinars, to get everybody acclimated with Ascribe Coder and get you in using Ascribe Coder and giving your feedback to let us know why you need to go back to review responses or a single response coding interface. Version 8.1 will see the introduction of Illustrator, which will allow us to visualize the work that we do in Ascribe Coder. Version 8.2 is when we will see the updated version of Phrase Analyzer. And I just want to be very clear, because this in a previous webinar somebody asked, well, you're showing an updated version of Phrase Analyzer in August, but you're removing the original version in June. That's not true. In June, we are removing review responses, single response coder interface, and edit the code book. We'll actually see the removal of the current Phrase Analyzer after the updated Phrase Analyzer is out. And then also there's going to be some desktop functionality released in August of 2014, and mainly the merge map tools. And then in version 8.3, for those of you that use desktop, we'll see the removal of desktop. That's scheduled for October of 2014. And we'll probably start talking more about that in our users group in an upcoming users group meeting. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and get into Ascribe Coder. All right. We will be, and I should let you know, I'll be scheduling another series of webinars for March. I'm planning those out now. I'll have those out by the end of the week on the homepage. And we do have one more this Thursday. I'll be doing an Ascribe Coder overview and QA. It'll be back to the basics, just very simple coding, the layout, and simple editing the code book. So that's what's going to happen this Thursday. And then in March, we'll start the series all over again. Also, I am in the process of publishing these recordings. It's taking a little bit of time to move them and get them in a place where everybody can access them, but all of the webinars that we've conducted so far will be available to you, and I will put a link to those on the homepage after I get them all published. And anytime you have any questions about Ascribe Coder or anything that you've seen, please feel free to email support, and we'll take care of you. You can even request training, and Antoine, Julie, or I will have a session with you to go over anything that you've ran into. All right, so let's go ahead and get into Ascribe. And before I get into Ascribe Coder today, or into Ascribe Coder to talk about dual codebooks, I want to go over a couple of other things that as I was preparing for this, I realized that for those of you that maybe don't do a lot of copying and sharing code books, I want to make sure I go over that before I get into dual code books. Dual code books is a new tool that allows us to copy codes from one code book to another. But before I do that, I still want to make sure that we go over kind of the basic tools that we use for copying code books. So I'm going to kind of start out just talking about some things that most of us know already, but I just want to make sure that I go over these things, that dual codebooks is not replacing copy to or copy from. So I'm going to start out just by taking a code book. So I have this code book, Exercise 5 under Bar 1, has this code book in it. I meant to turn that off. There we go. So I have this code book. And what I want to do is actually copy this code book to another question in my study. So I want to copy it to Exercise 5 under Bar A. So what I'll do is right-click and say Copy Share Codebook From. And it'll allow me to copy this code book from a question in this study, and I can say I want to copy it from Exercise 5 under Bar 1 and choose Make a Copy. So what I've done is taken the code book from 5 under Bar 1 and just copied it to 5A. So if I go into Ascribe Coder, I'll see that same code book, and it is just a copy. Again, I know this is just a review for a lot of you. You already know how to do this, but I want to make sure I emphasize that we can continue to work this way, that dual code books is not going to be the only way to copy codes in a code book. All right, so I have copied the code book from 5_1 to 5A. Now what I want to do is take the code book that's in 5A and copy it to, and actually what I want to do is share it with B and C. So the copy codebook 2 allows me to copy or share codebooks from the question that I right-clicked on to any other questions in the study. So if I wanted some other questions in here, I can pick those as well. And what I get is a list of all the questions that have no coded responses here. So I'm seeing all the questions that have no coded responses. Questions that have no coded responses but already have a code book will have a little bracket in front of them that show, hey, this has a code book and it has 19 codes in it. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and hit share. I wanted to make sure I covered this just so we realized how that worked. One more thing I want to talk about that has come up over multiple times is how do we unshare code books? We don't have the option to unshare code books in Ascribe Coder. If I wanted to unshare 5A from 5BC, 6ABC, then what I do is click on the shared questions column, and I bring up the shared questions column by going to choose columns. Shared questions is toggled on, and let's just, let's get rid of 6C from the share. So what I do is click on unshare, and it's going to say, do I want to unshare? Yes, I do. Okay. So now 6C is no longer shared with these 5 questions. It's now a copy. Okay. So again, to unshare, I just click on the shared questions and hit unshare, and away it goes. Okay. Wanted to make sure I covered that. All right.
Laura.
Yes.
Laura, before you go any further, there was a question.
Okay.
Someone wants to know, can you explain the difference between copy to and copy from again?
Absolutely. Okay. So when I want to copy from, usually I'm working on a question that doesn't have a code book. So if I right-click on 6C, did I put a code book in 6C? I think I did put a code book in 6C, but that's code book is empty. Let's go in exercise 5 where we have no code book. The code book is empty. And I'm going to choose copy, share, code book from. That means that I want to go to another source to get a code book for exercise 5. Okay? I want to go to another source. I can choose a question in this study. I can choose a question in another study. If I've got account code books, I can choose an account code book. And for those of you that use models for accelerator coding, if I have a model, I can choose a model. So copy codebook from allows me to go out into Ascribe and grab a codebook from either this study or a question in another study. Usually if I'm using copy codebook from in a question in another study, I'd want to know that other study's ID or at least what it started with, so I could bring it up and find them. Okay? In this case, I'm going to just use a question in this study, and then I can choose the question that I want to copy a codebook from. Okay? This assumes that I know where my codebook is, and I know which codebook I want to copy. So in this case, I'll just go ahead and copy 5_1, and again, I have that option to copy or share. Okay? So copy codebook from allows me to grab a codebook from any other study or question in Ascribe. Copy codebook to, I need to right-click on something on a question that already has a codebook, and it only allows me to copy codebooks within this study, copy or share codebooks within this study. So what I'm seeing when I copy a codebook 2 is that I want to use the codebook from exercise 5 and copy it to or share it with other questions in this study. Okay? And if I wanted to pick a question or multiple questions, I can pick whatever I want and then say make a copy or share. So now these two guys are shared. Or these two guys, sorry. Okay? So copy codebook 2 is to work within this study and copy an existing codebook. And then copy codebook from is to get a codebook from another source. You know, an existing codebook from either a question in this study or from another source in Ascribe. Does that help, Antoine? Is that okay?
Yes, that answered the question.
Okay, cool. Now we have another tool that is the Copy Share Manager. I'm not going to get into the Copy Share Manager today, but it is on my list of webinars to schedule. So those we will be conducting a webinar on the Copy Share Manager because it is what is going to replace a lot of what happens in Edit the Codebook today. Okay. All right. So now that we've kind of gone over that, over the copy and share, I'm going to actually go into this empty study and talk about dual codebooks. Okay, I'm going to go into see like this question in Access Ascribe Coder. Okay, so dual codebooks. Dual codebooks is an option when we're in Ascribe Coder and we click on the navigation icon. You'll see that dual codebooks is an option here. And what dual codebooks allows us to do, before I even get started, I'm going to just insert one little code here. I'm going to call this my nothing code, just so that I have a code to start out with. It helps to explain things a little better. Okay. So dual codebooks allows me to copy codes from any other source in Ascribe, but I can copy just nets or just a couple of codes. So in those instances where I want to take some codes from one codebook and maybe some nets from another codebook, I would use dual codebooks. So what I'm going to do is actually, and I should say too, well here, go ahead and access dual codebooks. Okay. So this is the dual codebook screen. Again, you access it through Ascribe Coder. And when you access dual codebooks, what you see on the right side of the screen, you see a codebook editor for the codebook that you were just in. So this is the codebook for the like this question. Okay? On the left side of the screen, I have the option to bring up another codebook. Really, all we're seeing here is side-by-side codebook editors. Okay? Dual codebooks allows us to bring up a codebook editor for more than one codebook. All right. You'll notice that really all it is, and let me just go back to Ascribe Coder, really all it is this codebook pane side by side. Okay. You have all the codebook tools available for the codebook that you're navigating through, which is the codebook for like this, and also for another question. So let me bring up dual codebooks again. All right. So again, on the right side of the screen, I see the codebook that I've navigated through. On the left side of the screen, I have the option to search for another codebook. And the cool thing about this is that I can actually search for a specific word in the codebook. Okay? So if I want to search for static, I type in the word static, and I have the option to search my account codebooks, master codebooks, which we'll get into another time, my open-ended question codebooks, my other specified codebooks, or my closed-end codebooks. I'm going to search my opens for the word static. So you'll notice what it does is brings up, and all of this is explained in great detail in that document that is available for download, but what it does is brings up the first 20 codebooks on your account that have the word static in it. And I shouldn't say the first. Really, it brings up those codebooks that have the word static the most times. Okay? And what you'll see displayed is the codebook description. So if you have account codebooks, it will give you the name of the codebook. In most cases, we don't have account codebooks, so it'll just say codebook. How many codes are in the codebook? Then the codes that have the word static will be listed, the codes and the nets, in this case, that have the word static are listed. And then below that, we have the questions that the code book is actually used in, or where the code book exists. So in this case, this is actually in my webinar February 2014 study. This is my study, and I can click on that to see my study information. And it's in question 9, and I can click on that to see my question information. Okay? But what if I want to see the actual code book? Then I click on the little code book link. And it tells me how many nets, how many empty nets, how many codes, how many unused codes, again, where it appears, and then I see my code book. Okay? That's my code book information. So you'll notice as I scroll down that we'll see more, these are all code books that have the word static in them. And then I decide which code book I'd like to display on the left side of the screen. So again, I'm clicking left code book. I'm searching by code. If I am using account code books, I could search by ID. And I'm searching for the word static. Maybe this time I want to search for the word frizz. And hit search. And it'll bring up all the code books that have that word frizz in it. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and bring up a code book. I'm going to bring up an account code book so that I know I've got what I want. Okay. And what I'm going to do is bring up my Hair Care Likes code book and hit OK. So what I can do now that I've got a code book on the left side of the screen and a code book on the right side of the screen, any editing I do on either side, it affects the code book that I'm working with. Okay, that's why I'm using an account code book here, so that I'm not looking or messing with the code book in the original study. And what I need to do is I'll unlock the code book on both sides. And I can simply say copy. So I copy my efficacy net and paste. It'll show me how it's going to paste it. Hit paste into. So now I've moved my efficacy net. Not moved, sorry, copied my efficacy net from my account code book into my new code book for my like this question. Okay? And I could do multiple nets if I liked. I can select multiples and copy and paste. But in this case, I would want to copy all and paste. Well, that's interesting. Let me try that again with codes. So what I should be able to do is copy selected codes, got it, and then paste them over here. And wherever I paste them, I'm pasting below, and it just pasted those in. So really what you could do, and we have a couple of clients that are doing this, they have lists of their main codes that they use, and they'll create the code books from that list of the main codes. They have all their netting and their categories, and they copy and paste into it. Okay? But again, I wanted to make sure I showed you, you still copy an entire code book using the copy code book from or the copy code book to. This would just be pieces of a code book. So now let's say that I want to bring my dislikes up. Yeah, that's the one I want. So I'd click here and hit OK. So now I'm looking at my dislikes, and I want to bring an efficacy net over. So what I would do, I unlock my code book. I hit copy, and I can paste. And now I've got my efficacy net for my likes, and I've got my efficacy net for my dislikes. So this allows me to basically pull in nets, codes, whatever, from different sources to create a code book for this new question. Okay? And that's basically what dual code books allows us to do today. It allows us to search. So if you're in a situation where you need to search, you know that you've got a study or a code book that deals with vacuum cleaners. but you don't remember the ID, you don't remember anything like that, this will allow you to find that code book that deals with vacuum cleaners. You could type in vacuum and see what comes up, right? And then if you find it, note the study ID, or you could actually copy the whole thing over. Or, again, if you note the study ID, you could go back and use the copy codebook from and share if you needed to share. This screen doesn't allow us to share, as far as I know yet. I'm still learning more about this screen. It's basically been created just to copy codes from one code frame to another. And when I talk about master code books in my probably a session in March, we'll go back into this a little more to talk about how master code books work. I didn't have time to get into that one today, though. All right. So that's what I wanted to share with you today, was just the dual codebook tool and how the dual codebook tool works. You'll notice that when I go back to Ascribe Coder, I'm in my like this question still, and it now has this code book that I could use for coding. Okay. One other thing I should note is you'll notice that we do have a left codebook, right codebook button up here. So I could bring up a different codebook over here on the right side if I needed to edit a different codebook. For instance, maybe I want to edit an account codebook. I can bring up a new codebook over here on the right side of the screen. And then when I go back to Ascribe Coder, note that I'm right back to my like this. I just wanted to show you that because that can be confusing. Most of the time when I've been talking with people who are using this, I just suggest that they just change the left code book and leave the right code book as it is. When we talk about master code books, you'll understand why we have a left code book and a right code book up there. But the other thing to note is that all of the tools that you have available for editing a code book are available here in dual code books. Okay? And I'm not going to go over those unless somebody asks for something specific from that. So that's what I wanted to cover today. Antoine, have any other questions come up?
Yes, we have one other question.
Okay, great.
Is there an option for us to search for code books based by job number? So can we enter in a job number in the search text when we pull up dual code books, and it'll bring up all the code books for that job number?
Okay. The search will, let's see, the search works, no. The search today, and that, I believe we had that in as a request, Antoine. We need to check and make sure that's still in the list of items. Because what we've been asked for here is just that capability to search by question ID or by question ID or by study ID. Today, all we can search for is by codebook ID or by the codes, code description. So it searches to see if the codebook ID contains the search or if at least one code in the codebook has that code description in it. It'll display them. So today we do not have that option to search by study ID or question ID when we're dealing with codebooks. Any other questions, Antoine?
Yes, we have another question. It's more so dealing with the code book versus dual code book.
Okay.
But the user is having trouble changing the level of a net. So if they want to move a subnet to a net level, they're having trouble doing that.
Changing a subnet to a net level? So if I want to make residue net, okay, so I have Laura's new net here, okay? And what I want to do is move Laura's new net. So I will select Laura's new net, and I will click on a net that's the same level, and I will put Move Selection below. So now Laura's new net is at the same level as Efficacy Net. Okay? Another thing that I should be able to do is move it, and when I move it, notice the blue box. If I move it above the Efficacy Net, so this time it's Controls Eliminates, that this will put it at the same level as the Efficacy Net. That's the drag drop. Okay. For me, the drag drop isn't always real easy to use. So for me, I usually prefer to use the move by selecting and moving. So if I wanted controls eliminates subnet to be a net, what I would do is highlight it and then find the place that I wanted to move it. So let's say I want to move it at the same level as Laura's new net, but below Laura's new net. So I click on it and say move below. All right. Does that answer that question? Okay.
Yes, it does.
Okay, great. What else? Any other questions that we can answer today? I know today was a little bit more, I wanted to make sure I talked about copy codebook to and copy codebook from, because I didn't want people to think that we had to use dual codebooks to copy codebooks. Dual codebooks is more for those instances where we need to find a codebook. It's a request that we've had since 2002 to be able to find a codebook by the code description. So we can do that now, which is really awesome. And we also have that ability to copy that codebook. So it meets that need, and it also meets the need when we might need to take nets from 2 or 3 different codebooks. Sometimes we have to do that, and we could just, you know, it allows us to move things around that way. Copy from multiple sources into one codebook. Anything else?
No, not at this time.
Okay, Antoine, anything you think that we should go over again, or anything that might have been a little unclear as we were going over it that came up?
No, I think you did a great job of covering all the basic aspects of dual codebook.
Okay, good. All right, and just so you guys know, I was going to go over master codebooks today, but it just that's something we'll cover in a different session, so we can tackle that one all at once. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I will let you guys know. One of the things that I share with everyone, I shouldn't say let you know, but remind you that as you're using Ascribe Coder, if you run into anything or you have any questions, please email support. You know, a lot of those end up being fielded by Antoine and Julie, by our team, but please email support and let them know so that we can tell you, hey, this is the way, this is an easier way to do this, or this is how it works. But what we're mainly interested in is when you have to go to review responses, or when you feel like review responses is meeting your need better than Ascribe Coder, or you feel like the single response coder interface is meeting your needs better than Ascribe Coder, or that edit the codebook is meeting your needs. We need to know those things so that we can address them. And as I said, we're going to be scheduling webinars for March, April, May, June, and probably July as well, so that we can be sure that everyone has ample opportunity to be trained on Ascribe Coder. Also, we've been scheduling individual sessions, question and answer sessions, or just review sessions with teams. So if you need to schedule one of those sessions, we're happy to do that as well. And as soon as I get these videos published, we will have a link on the homepage for those. I'm working with a team of people that are hopefully able to figure out why some of them weren't uploading for me. So,
Laura, we have another question. Yes,
okay.
We have one more question.
Okay.
The user wanted to know why you weren't able to copy both of the nets at one time.
That's interesting, and I have that marked down. So I may have just been doing it. Let me just take another look here. Dual codebooks. I want to bring up an account codebook with static in it. There we go. And I want to bring up this guy and hit OK. So let's say I wanted to bring up two nets. I wonder if what I would need to do, because I thought, oh, first of all, I have to unlock this silly thing. And let's see. I want to bring up both static subnet and control subnet. And See, I only have that option to copy selected codes. I don't have the option to copy selected nets. I wonder. Antoine, do you know if so would I just need to do this, but then would it just take the code?
Try selecting all of them, and then do copy.
But it's just copying the codes, it seems. Yeah, that's one of the things. See, it's just going to copy the codes that way. So it looks like if we're doing individual nets, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm going to look into that and see if I can figure out why it was doing like what we need to do. Because now, of course, it's doing paste below. Don't know. That's one for us to figure out. So we will explore that on what we need to do to get entire nets moved over. All right, any other questions?
No other questions.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week. I'm really grateful that you're taking the time to learn more about Ascribe Coder and be looking for the videos and the new webinars published near the end of the week. And have a great day.
The organizer has ended the session, and this